Hey guys, this is Victor. I work with Inventors, and I wanted to make a video that addressed kind of the elephant in the room, which is one of the biggest hurdles with bringing an invention to market or a new product to market, which is not losing hope. There are going to be countless problems that you're going to have to deal with as an inventor, trying to make a statement, create something new, bring value to people's lives. You'll be doing that in the form of your products. Whether they're physical or digital, there's still going to be a lot of challenges, a lot of hurdles to make these a reality. So what I'm finding in a lot of cases is that, especially with inventors I'm talking to, is that they're losing hope. They're not, their motivation is slowly waning. The more they talk to people, the more they realize how big the challenges are, and then they start self-doubting. And these are all normal emotions. These are all normal things that happen to really anybody. It doesn't really matter whether you're an inventor or not. You're going to have doubts. You're going to have self-doubts. You're going to have issues, motivation issues. And I wanted to address some points that at least I hold on to keep moving forward, helping inventors move forward, and just keep a positive mentality about this. If you talk to the wrong people, they're going to keep reminding you over and over again of such low odds of success. The odds of this is kind of like gambling, and there's some truth to that. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't try. It doesn't mean you shouldn't push hard to try to make something exist, something valuable to exist. So I wanted to address some points here that I think have helped me and have helped many inventors I speak with. The first thing I want to point out is that take a stock of who you are right now. Look at your finances, look at your family relationships, whether good or bad, look at your living situation, and just realize that there have been people in your exact position who have actually gone on to be successful with invention. Everybody has to deal with more or less, but just keep that in mind, that no matter what position you're in right now, there has been someone with the same or very similar scenario as you, who are looking at the same problem set as you are, but who just didn't stop. They didn't stop. That's what we call a true inventor. Someone who actually just says, hey, I'm aware of the risk, I'm aware of the challenges, but this is something I'm going to make happen, regardless of how long it takes, regardless of how much work it takes. And whether you're just licensing a product or building your own business, this mentality should remain the same, which is, and I want you to download this into your brain, which is, I'm not going to quit. And who's to say your first product is going to be successful? Maybe it's not. But you've got to start latching on to something different, which is knowing that you're just not going to quit. And whether it's this product or the second product or the fifth product or the eighth product or the 12th product, that you're eventually going to make it. I truly, truly believe that everyone on this planet has an idea that could be successful. It's the digging, it's the sifting through, it's the trying things, learning new skills. That's the hard part, and that's what very few people are willing to do. So I want to get that out of the way. So just keep that in mind. Hope is never zero. You always have a light to look forward to, no matter what your circumstances are. You could be going through your third bankruptcy. You could be going through your second marriage, divorce and such. It doesn't matter. What matters is, are you going to stick with this? Because if so, it's just a matter of time before you see some results. There was a gal on LinkedIn that she is the definition of a non-quitter. I think she developed like 30 different products. She didn't prototype every single one. She was smart about it. But she did like 30 products before she eventually arrived at one that actually performed. But that's the definition of persistence. And obviously you got to be smart with your decisions along the way. We have a saying, as long as you don't go broke over one decision, you can pick yourself back up and try again. No matter the circumstances, you can try again. So anyway, the next thing is, you may or may not realize this, but there are more tools than you can possibly imagine when it comes to developing products. Obviously, everybody's heard of 3D printing, but people don't usually go to university if they need some engineering help on a budget. They don't even think about that, or going to the small business associations, getting some help with resources, going to your local networking events to try to pick people's brain and figure out, hey, what's it going to take to, you know, just see how they did it. How can I reverse engineer something that another person made a success on? How can I look at that and garner some type of actionable steps that I can then use on my product? The information is out there, but 3D printing, you've heard that a lot, but I use machine shops a lot. If I need a metal product, like here's a Damascus pen holder, I may sell it, I may not, but it was something that just came to my mind, and I was like, they make a lot of knives with pens. I've never seen a pen holder made out of this material, and probably for good reason, but I did it anyway. Why? Because it had to be done. It was part of I had to do it, okay? Regardless of whether this particular product makes money or not. And obviously everyone wants to make money. That's the whole point. You do want to make money. You want to keep funding your vision, keep moving. But I'm all about trying things. And I try to keep it on a budget, don't get me wrong, but I'm all about trying things. If it takes a couple $100 to try something, then I'm all in. Now, if it starts taking thousands of dollars or tens of thousands, which is not unheard of when it comes to developing new product, that's when I step back and I wonder, okay, is this worth it? Should I go try to raise some funds? What do I need to do to approach this as cautiously as possible? But this is just one of many products I made that I just said it had to exist. And it's not that I don't care about what you think or what my customers think, but this is one of these types of products that had to exist. I had to make it. It was not even up for discussion. So, but anyway, and I like to make other pen holder stuff, and I do sell them, so that's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just all about trying things. So as far as tools go, I've used, and by the way, I do all my prototyping in-house, or almost all of it now, because over the last 5 to 8 years, that range, I've been really putting my nose to the grindstone as far as learning new skills and how to make things. What does it take to mold something without an injection mold? Or what does it take to 3D print something that's geometry is just awkward? Or how can I make something with a certain tensile strength? Or how can I make something that collapses for easy shipping? Whatever it might be, I've acquired a lot of skills as far as developing products, tricks to get the cost down, so I can get some type of prototype or proof of concept that I can then use to present or demonstrate whatever I might want to do with it. There's tons of resources. Sometimes what we'll do is we'll go straight to a factory. If the product's simple enough, we'll go straight to a factory and say, hey, make me a sample. And you may be able to bypass a prototyping shop that way. It's not always the case, but if the product geometry is simple, if the product is simple enough, you may be able to go to a manufacturer and get a couple samples made for a lot less expensive than you would maybe contracting a formal prototyping shop in the US or maybe even overseas. Prototyping shops, they do a wonderful service, but the costing can get pretty exorbitant, so you really got to want it. And you really can't get past prototyping shops if your product is complicated, very complicated. Like if we're developing a new transmission system, we're going to want to keep that, in our internal engineering team to test and dial in every little aspect of that product, test it, stress test it, make sure all the tolerances are right, make sure the load bearing capacity, all this stuff. I have this conversations every day with so many different products. So it just comes natural at this point. I'm just aware of all the challenges that come with like a majority of products. So now, one thing, let's say you're the type of person, guy or gal, that you don't really have any money, but you do have a vision. One skill that I would highly, highly suggest you begin working on pronto is pitching your product. People need to be convinced, no matter whether you're contacting a company, you're contacting for licensing, you're trying to get an investor, you need to do some level of convincing. And if your product is, hey, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, buy from me today, you might think that's a good pitch, but it's not. There are so many inventors that, they have this grand vision. It may very well be grand, okay? Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to knock anybody's vision. But if you come to me and you say, hey, I've got this multi-billion-dollar product, it'll make $1 billion like this, and all I need is, some level of cash flow to get this sorted out. And there may be some truth to that. But that kind of pitch doesn't work on me. It doesn't work on Invention City. It doesn't work on the companies I've worked at. We need to see that you've done your homework as far as the market. We need to see that you understand the problem well enough. And I'm not talking about it. It doesn't always have to be like a problem, a pressing problem, like energy issues. It can be a rudimentary issue. Like I made this all this is a crystal stand. On the side, I sell crystals. I love crystals, like natural stones and such. And I find new and unique ways of presenting them. This is a very simple product. You know, all I had to do was design it in CAD, 30 minutes or so, print it with some beautiful rainbow filament, and it came out nice. And now that people know, they've been buying them from me. So it's like, oh, well, awesome. Let's do that. But it doesn't have to be an extravagant problem. It can be, you know, it can be something that may not even address a problem. It could be something that's just a nice to have issue. Like these crystals here, they're nice to have. People love them. They don't cure cancer. They don't really do anything else but look pretty. But people buy them because they like them. It's not necessarily a problem solver, but I mean, it could be to some people. Maybe they want to be reminded of their 3rd anniversary or something, and maybe green fluorite was the crystal they saw in their honeymoon, you know, setting or something, whatever it might be. That could be construed as a problem or something. But, you know, I hope you're understanding what I'm saying, is that it doesn't have to be an extravagant problem, but you need to, in your pitch, be able to articulate the problem well, articulate why others would buy a solution. And if you can go deeper, like, hey, this is the potential profit margins that you can get for this product. This is the kind of the traction you can get for it. This is the challenges we need to overcome when it comes to marketing and getting the word out and getting the right visibility. This makes you look so educated, so sharp and on the ball, it's hard not to listen. Now, it'd be a perfect world if I said all that lined up and you can get a deal. It'd be a perfect world. But those are important skills to have when you're trying to sell a vision. You need to be able to say, hey, this is how it's going to be made. Or at least you know. You don't need to have already made a sample. You don't need to go into production at that point. But just know, be familiar with how it's going to be made, how this is realistic, how it's going to be brought to market. I'm not saying you have to be the next Warren Buffett. I'm not saying you have to psychoanalyze every individual person or understand every little aspect. The more you know, the better, but just get these core fundamentals out of the way. I have a product, here's how it's going to be made, here's the profit margins, and here's why I know it's going to sell for this particular price and garner this profit margin. If you have these key areas lined up, then you're going to be in very good shape when it comes to pitching this. Not everybody's a salesperson. You don't have to be a salesperson, but you do want to, you have to have some level of convincing. You need to show people the secret sauce and let them know, hey, this is a great product. This is worth the risk. And hey, I'm a hard worker, so I'm going to, I may not have the cash to do it, but I'm going to run this as best as any other business could be run. And these are all skills you can acquire, especially if we go back to what I said earlier and you say, you know what, I'm not going to quit. This is my life. I'm going to be creating products. Regardless of how this goes, I'm going to be creating new stuff on a regular basis, and I'm going to be the one to bring this to market and work hard to make it a reality. And if you get that checkbox ticked, everything else is going to line up. It's when you get the sneaking suspicion of worries, doubts, that's when things start really getting a little bit tricky, because now you don't know what to think. Like for us, we used to pull the trigger on every single product we thought would sell. And we found out not all the products would be successful, go figure. But we've learned a trick. Like a lot of times, if we're uncertain about a product, we'll conduct a survey. We'll target a couple hundred people. We'll try to target the right people for the product, and we'll just ask them point blank, hey, is this something you'll buy? That's a tool we use every time we come up with an idea. So it's a tool you may want to use as well. All right, so one thing I also want to mention is money. I want to reconfirm, money is not everything. Money is not everything. Money is not in any short supply. It's the deals. It's the constructing of deals, showing something that's worth the investment. That's the hard part. People think money's the only reason they're not where they want to be. That is so far removed from the truth. It's you got to learn how to pitch. You got to learn how to build excitement around something. Show why something needs to exist. That's the skill that's in hard demand. That's the skill that's few and far between. There are so many people I talk to, they think that all it is money that's limited them. All it is investment. That's all it is. Nothing else. It's just, if I had $1 million right now, I'd be successful. That's delusional. There have been so many people who started off with nothing. You got to find money, of course. It's not free to develop stuff. It's not free to get the engineers. It's not free to get manufacturing underway. It's not free to do marketing. It's not free. But if you pitch well and you connect yourself with the right people, money is there. There are investment groups all over the planet, numerous numbers of them. You've just got to show them they can't resist. You got to show them they can't say no to, okay? And that's partially what we do. Whether it's our idea or an inventor that comes to us, we look at it from an investment decision. We ask ourselves, is this going to be a good investment? What kind of return can we see on this particular product? And if they come to me with just a sketch, answering that question is very, very difficult. People think we know everything. We don't. We don't. We just got a good head on our shoulders as far as estimating the value of a product. But even with that process, we still can't say with certainty the crystal ball will be successful. So we've got to do homework. So anyway, money's not everything. Eliminate that excuse from your Rolodex. You got so many more excuses to worry about. You got so many more pressing matters to worry about. It's the vision you got to keep constant. And if you're on a shoestring budget, like a lot of inventors, again, we go back to the tools. 3D printers, a couple $100 to get a 3D printer. You can save up for that. If you don't have it now, you can save up for it in a couple months. Like for me, some of my prototypes, if you do it on a personal basis with me, I can get them down to a couple $100 for the prototype. Just depends on how simple it is, but try to be as affordable as I possibly can. There are resources just like me all over the world. You just got to pick someone you trust. You got to pick someone that's going to have your best interests in mind, someone who understands your vision and is able to complement that and bring a solution that you're going to be happy with, and furthermore, what your customers are going to be happy with. All right, and the last thing, okay, motivation. Motivation is nurtured through taking action. If you have something you want to do and it comes across your mind today, and if you don't take action in a month, it's probably not going to happen. And I'm talking about these huge actions. I'm thinking of it like a zip tie. You're slowly ratcheting yourself tighter and tighter and tighter around that vision. You're trying to nail it down. I'm not asking for these huge, massive mongoloid steps. I'm asking for these small ratchet steps that are getting you closer, closer, and closer through persistence, through consistency to your vision. It's small steps forward. So take action. Now, the issue is you don't necessarily know what to do. If you're a new inventor, you don't know what to do. I understand that. But that's when you contact Victor or you contact another group and you say, hey, I've got this. I want to make this a reality. What should I know? And we start off with a very loose conversation that says, here's some basic understanding of the invention process. And I'll even go deeper and say, based on your product category, here's some things that you may want to be aware of. And I'm not saying you got to do everything, but I'm going to give you the best possible advice. I've seen a lot of products go to market. I've worked with a lot of products. I've also seen a lot of products not go to market. And chances are, a lot of these people that didn't take certain steps or didn't persist. That's one of the biggest issues. They just quit. They just quit, okay? That's not a formula for any success. Now, there's a moment to cut your losses. There's smart instances where you want to cut your losses. Totally understandable. But quitting is a totally different matter. Quitting is a totally different issue. Quitting is not, just tell yourself right now, I'm not going to quit. I'm either going to keep moving or I'm going to move far enough to understand that this isn't worth my time to keep pushing. And again, it goes back to products that solve no problem. Think of the fidget spinner. Think of, pet rocks. You've probably seen countless products you'd look at and you're like, how the heck does that sell? Like I saw a mug, a coffee mug that weighed 22 pounds. Not user-friendly at all, but it sells I think it was like $200 or something, and people consistently buy it. And it was like a gag gift. People still drink from it. It works like a regular mug, but it's 22 pounds. Any person looking at that would say, hell no, that ain't gonna be a good product, but it sells. You would be surprised. There's so many products that will surprise you on what sells. So don't immediately eliminate your product because you don't think it's practical or you don't think it'll sell. Your opinion does matter, but it doesn't matter more than your customers. It does not matter more than the customers. If you get enough people saying, hey, I want to buy what you have, I don't care if you have the silliest widget on the planet, build a business around it and sell it. And just keep in mind, this is all stepping stones. This is your first product. Maybe it's your second product, whatever. I don't know where your current life is, but there's going to be another product. There's going to be another product, and you need to build these skills through taking action. No matter what the product is, these skills are going to last you for life, for life, knowing how to pitch a product, knowing how to recognize opportunity, knowing how to make profit, okay? And even if your goal is licensing, you still want to think in terms of what makes profit. You still want to be aware of what things profit. Just because you're not going to be bringing it to market, maybe you're convincing a company to do so, doesn't mean you shouldn't be aware of the potential profit margins and how a product should be made. I'm not asking you to go into all these feasibility reports and making sure everything, every little aspect and tolerances, everything's production ready. That's the burden of the company you'd license to. It's good to put thought into that and be aware of the nuances of how your product is going to be made, but that's only going to make you a sharper individual when you present. Your job isn't to go that far if your goal is licensing. Now, it is your job to go that far if you want to build your own brand, and I can help you do that. It just gets more costly. That's really boils down to it. Is licensing doesn't take nearly as much money as building your own business. Go figure. I'm stating the obvious here, but it just really depends on what you want to do. You know, like if you build your own business, you can make a crap ton of money if you build it right, a crap ton. Whereas licensing, a typical royalty is 3 to 5%. It's not for people who want to make a mint off their product. Although there are some deals we have that generated like 10 million a year in revenue, and we got 5% of that, which is like hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is good. But if you want to make that kind of money and have the better odds of doing that, I would say really consider building your own business, because you can control the flow and the growth. Whereas with licensing, you're passing off the responsibility to another company, and whether or not they deliver on sales, whether or not they push it as hard as you'd like, that's their responsibility, that's their burden. You know, you got to look in the contracts and everything, but it's not always a ticket to, just because you get a deal isn't always a ticket to richhood, you know. 3 to 5% is a typical royalty. Now, what we'll do is we'll negotiate 3 to 5% on the revenue, which is a lot more than 3 to 5% on the profit. But a lot of times you can't get around the 3 to 5% profit. So it really just depends. It's all negotiation based. So I wanted to leave you guys with some hope, okay? Hope for the future, hope for your product, because there's very little of that going around. It's easy to lose it, by the way. And the more companies you talk to, and the more you start seeing these high ticket services, and the more you hear about, I failed at this product, or I got a patent at this and never made money. The more stories you hear about that, frankly, the less likely you're going to take action on it. And we don't need that. We need you, okay? Just remind yourself, we need you. We need your product. The world is run by innovation. It's run by people just like you and me. I'm not by no means a high intellect person, but I'm passionate. I love making products, and I love helping inventors make products. And that's what I wake up looking forward to doing, you know. And there's some skills I can share with you that you can do yourself. Let's say you got no budget. I'm not gonna shame you on that. I'm just gonna say, okay, here's the circumstances, and here's what you can do to change that. It might be slow, but again, I liken it to a zip tie. We don't wonder, you know, whether each little tooth in the zip tie does its job. You hear it, you know, you hear it ratcheting down. It might be small, but every small step adds to the glorious result that you're going to have if you don't quit. Okay, so let's recap here. People have started where you are. There's no excuse for you. There are tools beyond your comprehension available to you. You've just got to search for them. Pitching is one of the number one skills that you need to have to be successful as an inventor. So nurture those skills. Take every moment to pitch your product. It might not be the best product. It might not be the one that you're going to be successful on. But the skills you acquire in that pitching are going to serve you for a lifetime. Money isn't everything. Money is not everything. Do not get in your head that money is like the single reason why you aren't where you're at. There have been countless people I see that genuinely have more money than they can shake a stick at and still get nowhere, because they just don't know what to do. They don't know what steps to take. And lastly, take action. I don't care how small it is. I don't care how small the steps are. Keep the blood flowing. Keep the vision alive. But taking action, a symptom of this should be people always asking you, hey, what's going on with that product? I know you were working on that. If you hear people constantly asking you about that, then you know you're doing something right, because now they're associating you with being an inventor. You want that association to be not just with your friends and family, but you want that association to be with any person you pitch. You know, you want to get that vibe, or give them that vibe instantly. You want them to know, hey, you're in this for the long haul. This is your vision. This is your life. You're not going to quit. And that's going to be way more investable than somebody that says, hey, I'm on the toilet, I got a great idea, or I'm in the shower, I got a great idea, give me some money. You know, I see so many people like that, where it's like, I came up with this idea last week. Don't want to do anything about it. It's worth $1 million. They're like pulling these numbers out of their butt. It's crazy. But anyway, so I wanted to reinstill some hope for you guys. Whether we work together or not isn't as big of a priority as me giving you some actionable advice, just letting you know, hey, there's hope for you. There's hope for you, okay? So keep up the great work and never stop.